Hi and welcome everyone. Lisa here. Thanks for joining me on my YouTube channel or website. So today I'm going to be sharing a fun card with you with lots of dimension. And we're going to be using a few new products from Whimsy Stamps. This product's just released today. I'm going to have those linked below along with a link to my website where you can go check out the whole new release. So here I have the Build a Fairy Garden die set from Whimsy. Comes with all of these amazing dies to let you build your own little mushrooms or toadstools, whatever you want to call them. Plus there's a grass die that's included with this, and I'm going to be showing you that in just a few seconds. But first, let's go ahead and have a look at the Whimsy Stamps Slimline Enchanted Forest paper. Now, I'm only going to show you a few of these because you're going to get 15 different designs in this paper pack. So I wanted to show you some of my favorites. These are absolutely amazing. This one here is my favorite out of all of them. I love that whole scene that was going there with the little fairy lights and the lights that just radiate out of those lanterns. It looks so real. But no matter which paper I'm looking at, I really want to be right in the middle of that scene. Like, can someone just transport me right into the middle of there and let me just live my happy little existence in that paper? So these really truly are like storybook papers. They're absolutely amazing. There's that grass die that I was telling you about that comes with that Build a Fairy Garden die set. To get started on our card, I was thinking that I wanted to do something where it looked like you were looking through the forest, and I have this amazing Slimline Wobbly Windows die from Whimsy. Thought, well, you know, these are some really good size windows in this die. If we cut one layer out and then back it with the other piece of paper or pattern paper, then it'll look like you're looking into a forest. I also thought, well, to give it even more dimension, let's go ahead and cut a piece of cardstock using that Slimline grass die that comes with the Build a Fairy Garden die set. And then we'll also run it through our wobbly window die so that it has the same shape as our other die cut piece, and it doesn't impede the windows. You can still see through those windows like you're looking into the forest. To start with, I wanted to go ahead and ink blend my grass. So I am using Distress Oxide inks in Twisted Citron and Rustic Wilderness. Now the Rustic Wilderness is one of the latest ones just released. And these two colors together go great with this paper pad. I just started with that Twisted Citron on the top, and then I'm coming in with that Rustic Wilderness on the bottom. And then I'll go back in with some of the Twisted Citron and blend those two together. And once I have this done, I'm going to set it to the side and go ahead and start to work on ink blending all of my mushrooms and my fairies. I'm using the colors Peacock Feathers, Twisted Citron, Carved Pumpkin, and Squeezed Lemonade for my mushrooms. Now for the little stems of the mushrooms, I'm using Scattered Straw on those. But I want to leave the top parts of those white so that when I'm building my mushrooms and you're looking through these pieces that I'm ink blending here, you're going to see that nice stark white through there. Here, I just came in with that Peacock Feathers, and then I'm blending the Squeezed Lemonade on the top and meeting those two together in the center. And I'm just blending them until I'm happy with the blend. And the paper I'm using is just 80-pound Neenah Avalanche white cardstock. I just went ahead and did the medium-sized mushroom, and I used Carved Pumpkin and then blended that with the Squeezed Lemonade. Now for the smaller one, because it's pretty small, I just decided I would use the Twisted Citron. I first thought, okay, for the fairies, I'm going to blend them the same way I did the mushrooms, and then we'll just place them around so that maybe like the orange is on the turquoise mushroom, and then, you know, just placing them around. For a short, hot second, I changed my mind and thought, well, I'll just think I will die cut these out of black cardstock and use them as a silhouette, and you can see those laying there. The Build a Fairy Garden die set comes with this little die, and it cuts tiny little stars out. Just taking some white cardstock and gluing it to the back of my scene so that when I flip this over, those stars are really going to just pop off the front of this card. And you don't need to use any fancy paper for this. Just some scrap paper will work, and then just use some liquid adhesive to adhere that paper down. Once you cut it down to size, you just want to be sure you can't see it other than through just the star die cut areas. So now that we have all of our pieces ready to go, we can go ahead and start to put things together. First thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and add some foam adhesive squares to the back of my pattern paper. Because remember, we're using a lot of dimension with this card. So I'm going to put foam squares on the back of this. I'm going to put foam squares on the back of that grass piece that we die cut and then ink blended. And then we'll go ahead and start to adhere all of these together. Once I have the little foam squares on the back, I remove the release paper from the back of those. And we're going to go ahead and start to line our grass up on the top of our pattern paper. And then we'll remove the release paper off of the back of the pattern paper and go ahead and line it up with our second piece of pattern paper. Because remember, we want this to look like we're just looking through the forest and it's continuing on. Now here real quick, I decided the larger mushroom, I wanted it to be behind the grass instead of in front of it. It helps to kind of break it up a little bit. Carefully peeled back that grass and added some liquid adhesive to the mushroom and then secured it underneath the grass and then let the liquid adhesive go ahead and hold it in place on that pattern paper. Now for the mushroom, as I'm starting to put this together, because I'm wanting a lot of dimension with this, I decided that the detail part of the mushroom where the cutouts are, I would use foam adhesive on the back of those. On the large one. Now the smaller one mushrooms, I'm not going to fight with foam adhesive on those at all. I'm using liquid adhesive to go ahead and add all of those layers together. And then I'll use foam adhesive on the very back of the mushroom to pop it up off the front of the card. So for the fairies, you see here, I ended up using, like I said, the ink blended and the black cardstock fairies together. And I just offset that ink blended fairy a little bit over the black cardstock to give it a nice little shadow, and then added tiny foam square adhesives to the back of my fairies. And then I'm going to go ahead and place those on my card. Now, once I have everything exactly where I want it, I'm going to add some liquid adhesive to the back of this whole panel and add this to my Slimline card base. So my Slimline card base is the 100-pound avalanche white cardstock. And I'm just, like I said, using liquid adhesive and placing that in the center. Now, one of the things that I love about that wobbly window die is that if you're off a little bit with centering your panel, it's okay. You can't really tell it. Now, I did come in and stamp that word believe on black cardstock, and I heat set that with white embossing powder. I came in and added some little fine gold details all around the card with my gold jelly roll pen. So that's going to wrap us up with this card. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think about this paper pack and the new Build a Fairy Garden die set in the comments below. And remember, the links are located below so that you can hop over to my website or the Whimsy Stamps website and check out the new release there. And as always, know how much I appreciate you. And until next time, take care.